Hi everyone, welcome to our Project Management V2 webinar. I'm Zoe, I'm the co-founder of Programmer, and our whole team is ecstatic to be bringing you these updates today. We have been working tirelessly in the background for about 6 months bringing these tools to life, so we're super excited that they have been released and they're out there for all of our design community to start using across their projects. So I know I probably say this in every webinar, but genuinely this was one of the most requested upgrades we've had in Programmer history. I don't think there was a day that went by where I didn't get a live chat or an email with someone requesting a timeline. So heads up, we've got timelines now, which is great. But yeah, to give you a gauge of the interest in this new suite of tools, we've had like 1,500 people sign up for this webinar, and I'm recording this a week ahead of the broadcast date. So I'm expecting there to be even more by the time it goes live. So yeah, no pressure on me. But in order to show the tools to as many of our design community as we can, because you're all across the world now, which is incredible. We have users in 85 different countries. This is a recorded session. But with that said, there's a member of our design team, might even be me, in the live chat right now answering your questions. So if you do need a little bit of extra info, you've got a question, click on that chat icon in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, send us a message, and we'll get back to you before the end of this session. But okay, Project Management V2, what is it? Why did we do it? What can you expect to see in today's webinar? So we had a very simple set of task management tools prior to the release of these new features. So they were great for just managing your day-to-day to-do list, your day-to-day workflow, assigning some deadlines, tracking time to things. But in terms of being able to track complicated multi-phase projects or forward look at what was coming up in your timeline of projects, we didn't quite have that functionality. But the incredible news is that we do now. So we spent months and months doing interviews with designers all across the world to really get familiar with what you needed and what you didn't need to accurately track your projects. So the feature set that we have released now is robust. It allows you to track the different phases of your project. It allows you to set a time frame for your project. It allows you to set a task and subtasks, assign people to those tasks, and then track time to them as well. So it gives you the complete picture and clarity of where your project is at any point, where it lines up against the other projects that you have currently active or planned in your studio, just so that you have complete clarity and control over your studio's workflow. Okay, that's enough from me. Let's dive in and I'll take you on a tour of Project Management V2. Okay, let's kick things off by jumping into one of my new active projects. So I've got my Kerr Street Terrace here. Now, one thing you'll notice is that when you create new projects in Programmer now, they won't have the board file under your project's file list. But what you will see is this new Project Management tab up the top. So if I click on the Project Management tab, once it loads here, you'll see that we've got new flexible views. So previously we just had that one static Kanban view with your task cards. You now have a Kanban view. You've got a list view if you prefer to see everything in a sort of order like this, and then we've got that timeline view now for you as well. But before I dive into the specifics of each of those different views, there are a few new project settings that you can apply to help you track things along too. So if we open up the side tray here by clicking in the little tray icon in the top right, you now have a project status. So instead of having to track the status of individual tasks, you now have a status attached to the project itself, which is super handy when we get down the track and we look at the overall studio view of seeing what stage each of your projects is up to. So you've got planned, active projects, ones in progress, paused, cancelled, and done. So that is a status that allows you to see where each of those individual projects are up to. You have a start and end date, so does what it says on the box. You can put a start date, you can put a proposed end date to your project. It's an optional field, but I would highly recommend that you add it in because it will correlate to your timeline view as well as your studio view. You've got the members who are assigned to your project. So I've got 3 team members in this particular job, and then it gives you the number of completed tasks in the project. So I've got 28 tasks set up for this whole job, and we've completed 5 of them, so we're on track. The next update is the idea of phases or stages, depending on where you are. But a phase is essentially just a period of time in a project, and you can assign tasks, deliverables, or milestones to those phases. So with my phases here, I've got my phase name and then the time frame, so the start and end date for that phase. Now, these phases are totally flexible. You can have whatever named phases that you want. They can go for as long as you want. I'm pretty sure you can have as many as you want as well. Here in my neck of the woods, we generally have a concept design, schematic design, design development, and construction, depending on the scope of your job. But as I said, you can set up whatever phases that you need. Just a quick note on that too. If you haven't previously worked with phases, or you don't have multiple stages in the type of work that you do, no drama. You don't have to use phases, but they do help you when you are wanting to, say, forward plan or see things in that timeline view. So there you go. You've got project status, timeframes, and phases. So now we've covered off all of that, we can dive into the Kanban board view. So this will look kind of familiar if you did have a play around with the previous version of task management that we had, but it is much more robust and much more polished, and it's got an extra layer of detail in each of your tasks. So if we just take a look at it on face value here, we've got 4 separate columns to help you track where each of those tasks are up to. Again, great visual display to see where things are at any point in time. You've got to do, in progress, in review, and done. Now, if we open up any of these task cards, let's do specs and scheduling. So you've got your task name, which is great, big, bold. You can be as specific or as generic as you'd like. You've got your task description, so you can pop in some more details around what needs to be done. And now we have subtasks. So we didn't have subtasks before, which did mean that sometimes the boards could have a lot of individual task cards, but now you can create that one task card and then pop in subtasks for any other elements for this job. So here I've got my specification or scheduling task, and then I've set up a subtask for materials and finishes, for my furniture scheduler spec, for my lighting and electrical, and for my fittings and fixtures. Now, as you can see here, you can check off those subtasks when they are done, and it will give you a little progress icon on the front side of that card, which I'll show you in a second. Now, this status will automatically update as you drag it across those separate columns, but you can also manually change that status as well. You can assign team members to it. So Lucky Gail, she's going to get my scheduling task here. You can put your target date. That's just a fancy word for a due date. Now, with the new element that we've got here is a key date. So if you hover your mouse over the key date, it will give you a short description of what a key date is. But basically, it's a milestone. So if you want this date to show up on your timeline view, it's something that you want to have full visibility over in relation to all the other timeline entries on that page. You select it as a key date, and it will be highlighted and it will show up in that linear timeline view. So things like a key date, it might be presentations, it might be site visits, it might be issuing documentation, it might be when you're wrapping up a phase package, whatever it may be, however important it is to you, or even if it's just something that's lightweight and you want to make sure it's there in the timeline view so you don't miss it, assign that key date toggle. I'll keep this one switched off now. And then you can add it to a phase. So you don't have to add a project to a phase. As I mentioned, if you don't use phases in your project, no drama, you don't have to use them. But if you want this to be assigned to a specific stage in your project, just choose one of the phases from this list. Now, if you haven't set up your phases prior to adding your tasks, you can create them from within your task card as well, which is great, very handy. And then as per, you've got the option to add in attachments here too, as well as any comments amongst your team. So if you want to post any updates, ask any questions across your team, you've got your little comment section in there so that you can keep it all nice and consolidated into your task card, as opposed to Slack messages, emails, wherever else you're communicating. Okay, so that is your task card. As I mentioned, you can drag them across the different views and they will update. You have filters in this view as well. So if you want to just see tasks assigned to a specific member in your team, you can do that. Alternatively, if you just want to see tasks from a specific phase, you can do that too. So if I put it on my schematic design phase, here it's just showing me the tasks that I currently have assigned to schematic design and where they are in the project. So that is your Kanban view. I'm a massive fan of the Kanban view, as I just find it super simple to see exactly where any of those tasks are up to at any point in time. My brain definitely works from left to right. But if you prefer to see everything in a bit more of a list view, you're used to having things in a notebook, that's just how your brain likes to take in information, we've got a list view. So here it's broken down into to do, in progress, in review, and done. So all of those tasks at whatever point or whatever status they're at will fall within one of these headings. You can open up any of these tasks and it will bring up that task modal for you. So if you want to make any edits, you can do so from in the list view. You don't have to keep going back to the board view. You can add tasks from this view as well. So just click on that little add button, brings up a new modal, pop in your details, and then off you go. And again, you can use those filters to specifically see tasks assigned to people or to phases. So if I pop it into concept design phase here, this is where everything is up to, which is great. Now, moving on to our timeline view. So we switch on the timeline view by selecting the timeline tab, and a couple of things to make note of. So if we look down in the bottom right-hand corner, you have a few different time frames in which you can view your content. So if you want to get fully zoomed out and just see everything across the course of the year for this particular project, you've got your yearly view. You have your quarterly view, so that's the next 3 months in the project, and then you have your month if you want more of a closer picture of where things are at right now. If I bring it back into the quarter here, so what you can see is that project start and end time frame up the top. So you hover your mouse over it, it gives you the start date, gives you the end date, it shows you who's assigned to the task from your team, the project from your team, and then what state or status the project is in. So this is my active job, Kerr Street. We can see across here, it wraps up around the end of February, and we are currently in the project admin phase. Now, what I referred to in the board view, or when we were in that task window where you can assign a key date, these little red diamonds are your key dates or your milestones. So if I hover my mouse over any of these, I can see that one of my key dates for the job in concept design is I have my concept design presentation scheduled for the 24th of September. If I look at my schematic design one, I've got my consultant coordination planned for the 25th of October. So you can have as many of those key dates as you'd like. If you have a number of key dates in a particular phase, you'll probably find the monthly view of the timeline will give you a more kind of spaced out view, so you can see the full task, where it lines up and what date they are in that phase. But yeah, it's just a really great way of seeing where all of those milestones line up across the different phases of your job. Now, if we were to go back into my month view, now say for example, we've had a bit of a delay with kicking off the concept design phase for the project, whatever it may be, things happen. Rather than having to open the side panel and edit your phase dates from in here, which you can, totally fine, great way to do it. You can drag and drop the handle and it will change the dates for you. Same thing goes for your overall project timeline date too. So you can edit the project time frame, you can edit the phase time frame, all from within this main timeline view, which is great. Filters apply to this one as well. So if you want to see certain phases, you want to see certain members, pop that filter on and it will rationalize the view to whatever filter that you have set. So that is the inner workings of project management for each project. As you can see, you've got your pick, your choice of views. If you want Kanban view because you like seeing the progress of things from left to right, if you prefer seeing things in a list view, so it feels almost like a to-do list as you tick them off and it updates across the page, or if you need that forward planning picture of where everything lines up sequentially in order, timeline view is there for you as well. So just to quickly touch on how you can create tasks, you can create tasks in the board view and you can create tasks in the list view. So if you want to kick things off inside your board, you simply click add task at the bottom of each of these columns. It will bring up that modal window for you where you can pop in your task name, you can add in your description, add in any of those subtasks if you need to. You can assign the status, you can assign it to a team member, pop in your target date, assign it as a key date, select a phase, you're good to go. So it's very simple, very intuitive. We've made it lightweight, you know, like there's not a whole bunch of moving parts, bells and whistles that you need to be a data scientist to understand how to take advantage of the full functionality. One of the major pieces of feedback that we did get from designers is that we want a tool which makes it super easy for me to have full clarity over the different stages or phases of my project so I can forward plan out my team's resourcing, but it needs to be really easy and intuitive to understand how to use it, because we've tried really complicated tools in the past, whether it's like Asana, Monday, Jira, Basecamp, whatever it may be. And because those tools are so robust, they're hard to get uptake from the team. So you'll find when you do jump into our project management tools, it's all very logical. It's all very intuitive. You'll dive in, and we do have some incredible help guides to get you on your way. I will show you them at the end, but it is one of those tools where you can just click on add task and it just makes sense. That is project management within your actual job. We'll be moving on next to time tracking. Now, love it or hate it, time tracking is an essential part of your project workflow. So whether you track your hours so that you can add them to a client invoice for payment, or if you're tracking hours as an internal benchmark to know how long certain jobs take to complete, tracking that time accurately and easily is so important to the success of your job. So we've made it really intuitive to track that time directly within your tasks. So now when you open up a task card, you can start your timer by clicking on the play button in the right-hand side of this panel. That will start your stopwatch. And as you can see here, it does keep a record of how much time has previously been logged to this task. So if you're an account owner, an admin, or you just want to stay on top of how long you're spending on a certain job, you've got that running log of how much time has been tracked to this task in that right-hand panel. Now, when you want to stop your timer, just press stop either in that the left-hand navigation or within your task card here. That will automatically save the entry to your time tracking dashboard, which I'll open up here. So the time tracking dashboard has also had a glow up, but the great part of it is that it still will save the project, the task name, who tracked the time, and how long you spent doing it automatically. If you need to edit any of those details, you can open up the entry, you can put in the amount of time that you realistically spent doing the task, add some notes if you need to, and press save. Now, just a note, if you're trying to manually track time to a task that's contained in an old board, so the V1 version of project management, you'll need to go through that start and stop timer workflow to add any manual hours. If you want to manually assign time to a new project management task, so one that's housed within the new PM tab inside each of your jobs, you simply click on Add New Time Entry, pop in all of the specifics, add a note if you need to, and then press Save. Now on this view here, you can filter down the entries by project. You can select a certain time period. You can either choose to view just my entries or my team entries if I'm an admin or an owner, and it gives me a running total for how much time has been tracked during that nominated period. Now, if you want to export this data, say you want a spreadsheet so that you can attach to your client dashboard, or you want to run some more in-depth reporting, we give you the option to export this to an Excel sheet. So if you have been tracking your time, using a tool like Toggle or Harvest or however you've been doing it, you can now cancel your subscriptions because it's all embedded within your Programmer project management workflow. Now, I would have tried, I think, every project management system out there. And one thing I used to struggle with, admittedly, this was a little while ago, but one thing I used to struggle with was having a single view that gave me the full picture of all of the work across all of my projects I had in Studio at that time. I wanted to see all the tasks that were currently in progress. I wanted to see all the tasks that were currently in review. I wanted to be able to accurately resource our time so that we could meet the project deadlines that we had set. So we previously had a tool called Studio Whip, which was a very simple way of seeing like the next month's worth of work in a dashboard. We've since retired Studio Whip. We wish it well. We have replaced it with a new tool called Studio. So if I open up Studio here in the left-hand navigation, you will see it follows the same framework as project management inside each of your jobs, which is completely by design. So we've got the same views. You've got your board view, your list view, and your timeline view. In your board view and your list view, it pulls in all of the tasks across all of your active projects into one consolidated space, and it's organized it into that really easy to digest, to do, in progress, in review, and done framework. So it works in exactly the same way as it does inside each of your jobs. If you want to change the status or move something to done, you can do it within Studio and it will update that task inside the project too. So you're not having to double handle anything. If you want to make any edits to a particular task, you can do it from within Studio and it will sync to the project. Even if you want to add new tasks, you can add tasks from Studio and it will also add it to your project. So the idea of Studio is that it's a great dashboard to have open where if you have a resource meeting with your team, or even you're just planning out your own weekly deliverables and you want to assign tasks to the right people, see what's currently on the go, see what's currently in review that you need to chase up, this is your space where you can do it and have full visibility across each of the projects. So you've got your board view, like I showed. If you prefer to view it in that list view, go for your life, view it in the list view. You can filter by team member. So if I want to see this particular view but only show me my projects, I can filter it down to just show me my tasks by choosing my name. Alternatively, if I just want to see tasks from particular projects, I can apply that project filter as well. Now, timeline view is really where Studio comes into its own. So if we open up the timeline view here, it brings in all of the projects that have a start and an end date and phases. So if you do find that your project isn't showing up in Studio, it's likely due to the fact that you don't have dates attached to the project. So if I have a look here, I can see when my Airlie Hill project starts and finishes. I can see where the different phases and those key milestone dates occur. I can see that there's a bit of overlap here with my Kerr Street townhouse. I've got a fair number of key dates and deliverables happening around late September, early October. Maybe I need to bring some more people onto that project or just be mindful of how I'm resourcing out my time. I can see I've got my Cremorne Street project planned to start when things are starting to wrap up with Airlie Hills, so I should be good in terms of capacity within the team. And if I zoom it out in further, so if I want to view it by year, I can get that full picture of exactly where all of my projects are starting and finishing. So it's really good for making any kind of like project pipeline decisions too. So I say, okay, it's looking like I don't really have anything on from the beginning of May, so I might send out an EDM or two chat to a few of my builder or architect friends, see if we could get some referral work happening, because it looks like I've got some space to fill around that period. So with your timeline view, you can view all of these itemized phases as we've got here, or if you want to collapse all of those phases so you can just see where those project start and end dates line up, you can view it in this really lovely, clean, rationalized view as well. So with Studio, you've got the flexibility to see as simple detail like this. You can break it down further so that you can see where those phases line up, or you can get even more detailed by going into that list view or that timeline view, so you can see exactly what tasks are being worked on, what stage they're at, who's working on them, and how much time has been tracked to them as well. One other quick little tip with Studio, and it is to do with time tracking. You can have your Studio open and you can track time to any of those project tasks from within this view. So you can find your task, search for it, filter for it, however you want to get there. Start your timer, kicks off your stopwatch, stop your timer, and it saves to that project dashboard. So Studio really is that one-stop shop for all of your project content across your Studio to help you make some really accurate resourcing decisions. To help you get up and running with the new project management tools, we have created a new set of project templates. So these were launched on the 15th of August. So all accounts created after that will have these new templates by default. If your account was created prior to August 15th, you'll have the old set of templates. Not to worry though, super easy for us to pop them in your account. Just send us a request on live chat and the team will manually copy those ones across for you. So we've got the two separate templates. We've got the interior design and architecture template, and we have the interior decor and styling template. So if I open up, we'll start with the interior design and architecture template. Now, if you do have the old version of this interior design and architecture template, you will remember that there was a project management board created for each separate phase of the job. So I think there were like 9 of them in total. Thankfully, with the new project management setup, we no longer have those numerous boards because it's all created or it's all structured within preset phases. So if I open the side panel here, the status is planned, so you can change that to whatever you need, pop in your project overall start and end date, assign your team members, and then you'll see we have these phases here set up for you. These don't contain timeframes because obviously that will be dependent on your job. To edit these, so if you want to rename the phase, if you want to add a time frame in, just click the 3 dots next to the right of the phase, click edit, and you can change the name and you can add in a phase start and end date. So go and do that for all the separate phases that we have here. Just a note on these phases, they're quite generic. So if you need to add in any new ones, edit the existing ones that we've got there, again, fully flexible to suit your workflow. But they're all created for you. And then you'll see there's a list of tasks that correlate to each of those phases. So you've got all of the tasks for your project admin, all of the tasks for concept design, schematic design, design development, etc., all here for you. Now, if I was to open up any of these tasks, they have a big task name, there's a task description, and there's a set of subtasks for you to work through as well. So again, this is all just example content. You can edit this as you need, but it's just a prompt to help you get started. These were created in consultation with all of our beta testers, so the workflow is designed on real world project execution. But all that content is there set up for you. You just need to assign the correct team members, set your due dates, mark whether it's a key date, and it's already been assigned to a phase. So with these templates, I'll quickly, before I forget, touch on the decor and styling one. It is slightly different. So if we open up this particular template here, it has a slightly different set of phases. So you'll need to add in your start and end date. Again, you'll need to assign your team members. There is a couple of different phases in here. So you have a deliverables phase. And again, if you want to edit any of these, you just click on those 3 dots, edit phase, change the name if you need to, and assign that time frame. So if we jump into the project management tab for decor and styling, it has a different list of tasks. There is a little bit of crossover in terms of some project admin bits and pieces, but the tasks in here are much more focused on decor and styling elements. So go through, review the list. Again, if you need to change anything, just open up the task, change the task name, delete any of the subtasks which aren't relevant to you, pop your members in, set your target date, and then off you go. So these will save you a lot of time and effort when you are rolling out new projects. If you want to duplicate these templates so that you can customize them for your new job, just simply click the 3 dots on the on the project card and select duplicate project. Once you've then duplicated that project, you just click on that cog icon to bring up your project settings, and then you can change the name. You can change your time frames, set your currencies and your measurements if you have to, switch on your tax, change your cover image, assign your team members. All of it happens inside those project settings. Just make sure you click save to commit those changes. Well, that wraps up today's webinar. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. As I mentioned earlier, the team is super proud of this release, and we're all just really keen for you all to get in there and give it a go. Our product team wants to hear your feedback as well. So if you do dive in and you've got some suggestions, then make sure you reach out to us on live chat and shoot them through. You can access your live chat by clicking Need Help in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, select Send Us a Message, shoot through your feedback, or if you need a hand setting anything up. We have design managers based in Asia Pacific, North America, UK, Europe, so someone will be on hand to give you extra help or to take on board your feedback. We have new help guides available too, with step-by-step instructions on how to set everything up you've seen today. You can access that through the help widget as well. Just click on search for help. You want to scroll down to the project management collection and then select project management new, and you'll see all of the guides that cover off the content that we went through today. Okay, that's everything from me. Like I mentioned, please reach out to us with your feedback. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's webinar, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.